On Transportation and Infrastructure examines the challenges facing the U.S. aerospace workforce. One America's Zach Peterson has the details.
Airlines are struggling to fill cockpits, and the outlook for prospective pilots looks bleak. Management consulting firm Oliver Wyman predicts that there will be a shortage of around 30,000 pilots by 2030. Some aviation analysts blame COVID-related early retirements for shortages. But other experts trace the problem back to the FAA Act of 2010, which increased pilot training requirements, including a 1,500-hour training rule that significantly added time and money for cadets.
It's almost easier and less expensive to qualify as a physician or a surgeon as it is to become an airline pilot. And as a result, there's a huge shortage today. They're estimating a shortage of some 30,000 pilots by the year 2030. What's going to happen, we don't know. We know now that some airlines like Southwest have curtailed flights. They have airplanes sitting on the ground for lack of flight crews. So it is becoming a genuine problem.
The 1,500-hour rule came about as a result of the last fatal air accident in the U.S. In 2009, Continental Flight 3407 crashed near Buffalo, New York, killing all 49 souls on board and 1 on the ground. Federal investigators found that the captain's inappropriate response to the activation of the stick shaker led to an aerodynamic stall from which the airplane did not recover. As a result, Congress passed the landmark law that stiffened pilot training requirements. The Transportation and Infrastructure House Subcommittee on Aviation are taking a long look at the challenges facing the aerospace workforces. Democrat Representative Brian Higgins and Republican Congressman Nick Langworthy are pushing to keep current pilot training standards in place.
There is an effort to undermine the very provisions that these families and all of us fought for over the past 14 years. We have to make sure that that doesn't happen.
It is wrong. But we're here today because this important in no business decision should ever come before public safety. Period. End of story.
Langworthy and Higgins also object to the push from regional carriers to allow flight simulation training hours to count towards their required hours overall, saying simulators are not the same as real-life experience. But in Wednesday's hearing, Representative Sam Graves argued that the 1,500-hour requirement doesn't necessarily produce better pilots. In the current system, pilots come out of ground school with 250 hours of structured flight training. However, they're left on their own to accumulate the remaining 1,250 hours, which can all pretty much be logged on a clear, sunny day.
I'm not convinced that kids coming out of flight school and telling them they need to be towing banners or teaching students or boring holes in the sky while racking up debt produces the best pilots. We all know what the FAA found, and that is the number of flight hours you have are not a reflection of what kind of a pilot you are.
Facing pilot shortages, regional carriers are pushing to reduce the 1,500-hour minimum. The same studies that the FAA used to craft the training rules have been updated multiple times since their inception in 2010. Those studies show that the more time pilots spend trying to meet the hour requirement, the more they distance themselves from their training, without replacing it with quality, real-life experience and situational problem solving.
The more time pilots spend building hours, the more the positive effect of their training fades. Despite the rhetoric, pilots do not encounter icing or thunderstorms or practice commercial flying procedures when they build this time. They fly light aircraft in clear weather. They arrive in our training programs with high time, but they are not ready.
The president of the Regional Airline Association says the pilot shortage has resulted in a collapse in air service, and smaller communities are particularly impacted because they rely exclusively on regional airlines for air service. She believes it is vital that Congress address the pilot shortage to ensure communities of all sizes have access to the National Air Transportation System. The FAA's funding and authorities are scheduled to expire on October 1st. Zach Peterson, One American News.